It's hard to talk about my life in the wilderness. I was born into chaos. My father had been an Anglican priest in a small town. My mother was the daughter of an Anglican priest in a neighboring small town. He had a wife and 7 children. She had a son. And shortly after they met, they began an affair. This was not my father's first affair, nor was it his last. Within 2 years, he left his family, left his parish, was divorced, and I was born. My father was a functioning alcoholic. He ruled the house through power and control. I feared my father, and I viewed my mother as insufficient to help. By the time I was 12 years old, I had been sexually abused by 3 different perpetrators. When I was about 8 years old, my mother came to a saving knowledge of Christ. She and I would talk in the bathroom about Jesus. We had to do it in secret. The idea of my mother being born again, my father would speak the words born again with venom. So though that seed was planted when I was young, there was really no proper conditions to grow spiritually. So where was God in all this? Well, every Sunday, God existed in this beautiful box called the Anglican Church, where there was a predictable rhythm and a consistent flow to a service. It was sensory. God also blessed me with a talent. He gave me an ability to dance. I was in a pre-professional training program for many years. I would never have been allowed to not be home 6 days a week if I wasn't doing something productive, but I was allowed to be out of the home. I'm so grateful that I had respite. Having never really felt valued, I also didn't value myself. I was promiscuous. I didn't really think anything of lying to get myself out of trouble. I was not emotionally steady. And somehow, even in the middle of that, God showed up. And this time he showed up in the faces of some really beautiful women. I wasn't afraid of them, and I could learn from them, and they took me under their wing. And this time I came to a saving knowledge of Christ, but with freedom to explore and grow and develop. And it was really exciting. By then I was married, I had 3 children, and then my very closest friend, my sister in Christ, died. She was murdered by her husband. And I felt like all of those pieces that were being put back together, I was suddenly aware that I was the one holding all those pieces together. And when she died, they just fell apart, and the shame came back. And I realized I thought that now that I was making my choices for myself, and I was choosing the right things to do, that evil wouldn't come close to me anymore. So it's in that healing from losing my friend that I sort of let go a little bit of the need to form myself, and found a lot more solace in spiritual formation, really allowing him to form me. And I was pretty sure God was calling me to this place. And yet I read the job description, and was again just flooded with shame. They would never want anyone like me to do this job. And this, I can't. And as I was praying through that and talking to God about it, I guess I was hoping for a little flattery or affirmation. And what I got was, surely I will be with you. That's it. And eventually I figured, well, if it was good enough for Moses, I guess it's got to be good enough for me. I was walking from the cafe to my office, just talking about my schedule for the day, when suddenly my arms and legs just didn't work. And I had no control over them, and I collapsed to the floor. It was like my body just screamed, no. It was terrifying. It was a month of sitting around and allowing myself time and space to heal, and the healing was profound. And I think it's expressed most simply in this statement. I was humbled, but I wasn't humiliated. There's no shame this time in this event, and realizing that I could go through this really hard thing and I was not shamed. I was loved and cared for, and I could receive that love and care is such a miracle of transformation for me. What I've experienced in my wilderness is the power of God, the healing power of God that continues to take me out of a shame-based identity that was formed by circumstances and into a Christ-centered identity that's formed by Him. The truth is, as long as I live, I'm in the wilderness. The promised land is not here. The promised land is heaven.